All right, it is 8 o'clock. We are in City Hall Council Chambers. This is the Redevelopment Authority meeting, and it is Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. Next item on the agenda is consider approving the minutes from the previous meeting, which was February 5th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the February 5th meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Any public comment? Last call for public comment. Hearing none, we'll move on to general agenda items for consideration. We have requesting proposals for the city's property at 401 South Kai Street, the former Anson Gilkey property. The RFP draft will be supplied at the meeting, is supplied. Rod?
Okay, I know we had mentioned this in previous meetings. I just wanted to at least supply you with it and give you a chance to go over it. If you see something in the next, whatever, week or so, just let me know. I'm not going to be putting this out for a week. Apologize for not getting it to you so you could review it for this meeting, but it's the basic format that we've used in the past. And we have had interest in that property, well, both properties that we're going to talk about today, but we have had interest in that from 3 different parties. And we had put this out for RFP back in 2022, so legally we don't have to put it back out for an RFP, but I think it's a better process. Everybody's kind of under the same rules. We don't necessarily dictate to them what they have to submit. Or I should say we do. So I guess with that being said, if you flip over to the back side of that, it kind of shows you the property end of Kai Street between Kai's and Cooper where the Riverbend Trail wraps back to the north. Used to be the old Anson Gilkey. We've had, I think the proposals back in 2022 were for, one was for duplexes and townhomes, and the other was for a larger freestanding building, kind of like Park Place 2. And they wanted like $1 million of incentive. At that time, I think we said no, we're not interested in that. I think moving forward, we'd be interested in, supplying the property and minimal incentive. That's TID 9. We don't really have a whole lot there, but it all depends on the amount of tax increment that the development would provide the city. I could see us doing some sort of incentive, but that'll be addressed hopefully at the May meeting. If you look at page 5, kind of a laid out timeline as far as when the RFP will be available. Proposals will be due the 30th of April, and then we'll discuss it at our May meeting, our May redevelopment meeting, with possible action at the May council meeting. That's kind of the timeline we have laid out, if approved and forwarded from this committee. There are some environmental documents that will also be supplied to anybody that requests the proposal on both of these projects, but for the purpose of the meeting, this is the proposal. We've had that property for, I want to say it's going on 12 years now, 12 or 13 years. I think it's time to try to do something down there again. We were working with Cedar Corp, and I think right after COVID, their investors kind of fell off, similar to some other things that we've had going. But hopefully it'll pick back up here and we can move the property and get this developed. Any questions on that?
And if I recall, the Riverbend Trail easement still is maintained if this is sold, correct?
Correct.
If this property goes.
If you look at Well, just look at the back page. There is a kind of a chunk out of the bottom along the Riverbend Trail that kind of goes up where it's wooded, kind of on the middle left. If you would kind of connect the two lines along the trail, that piece would also be offered as far as part of the development. Right now, there's kind of a makeshift memorial there, but they are aware of development, and once we have a development in there, that'll be removed or relocated.
Does the flood zone go up there?
It does. If you look at, there's a Loma map in here. It's a letter of map amendment. I guess it's the second to last page there, third to last page that REI did for us. It's kind of that dotted line through there. But we do need area for green space and stormwater management, or I should say the developer would need that, so there's plenty of buildable property there.
Is the hope to limit this strictly to housing, or does it depend on other alternative proposals that might come in?
In the proposal, it says we're looking for housing, but everything will be accepted. Get to that part here. On the top of page, or bottom of page 2, top of page 3, possible uses include residential dwelling units. Housing for individuals and families is desired for future use in connection with the city's objective to provide new unit housing. And then commercial uses may include retail, financial, restaurant, or new expanding businesses. Mixed use could be any of the above. So we are open, but I would think that would probably be a better spot for that whole river corridor for housing and some sort of lighter retail. I guess I'd be looking for a motion to put this out for proposals.
On the Kai Street property? I'll move to accept the request for proposals to be sent out.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second to accept the request for proposals to be sent out on the 401 South Kai Street property. Any discussion?
I have something. So I think we should put this out for proposal. The problem I have is that we're it was given to us at the beginning of this meeting. And that's frustrating to me. Like, when we have something that we're supposed to discuss and talk about, it'd be nice to have, and this is straightforward. It's not complicated. But as a matter of business, I've found that on this committee, this happens a lot over the last number of years. And my vote's going to be no, simply because I'd like to have this information ahead of time before the meeting so we can review it. And again, this is straightforward. It's nothing complicated. I think it should go forward, but I think the manner in which we're doing this is not the right way. it should go.
Understood. And that's where I said if you do review it and see anything that you have an issue with, please get back to me.
So if we did find something, which I don't think we would, but if we did,
Okay.
we couldn't rescind the motion.
Well, I can make the corrections or alterations. I mean, I think in principle, moving forward, even if I didn't have this here today, if you would give me the authorization to put out a request for proposals, and like I said, if you see anything in there that you have questions on, don't be afraid to ask, and I understand your concern.
Mr. Bars, if this was approved and you're on the prevailing side, you can move to reconsider the motion
When?
after it's already been approved.
Okay.
So if it gets
Like
approved
next
today,
meeting
if
we
it
can
gets
do that?
approved today and you're on the prevailing side and something comes up, you can move to reconsider the motion and change things.
What, did you look at the timeline, though? I mean, it's going to be going out March 10th, which is in 5 days.
Correct? But then if you find something that's in there, you can let them know, and then we can
Okay.
can have a meeting and then
Yeah.
you can move the timeline back.
It won't happen again.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
All right.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Next, we have consider requesting proposal for city property at 703 South Center Avenue, the former Merrill View Motel. The RFP is supplied.
Okay, if you look at the back page on here, you can see the location and what we're talking about, the piece north of the old Starks, to the west of the Marshfield Clinic and south of the hospital. It's right around 1 acre. I guess what I would say I envision, what we envision is something similar to what's across from the Enrichment Center on Sale Street, townhome style. But if somebody has a commercial use for it, it's got good traffic count, good visibility, everything will be considered.
In the building, the land is clear. I mean, it shows a building on here
Yep.
now, but the land is cleared.
Does this
So-
map go out with the RFP?
Yep, the whole,
I would think it would be more helpful to
yep,
either note that it's clear or send out a
Yep.
map that has it shown clear.
yep. Well, I would hope they would go look at the site if they're gonna put a proposal in, but
Yeah, they might just look at it and go, "Pff, I don't
Yeah.
want to spend the extra money clearing on a
Nope.
lot besides, so.
I'll make a note of that in the RFP, change that.
Was there any environmental issue, concern on this property?
There is an underground storage tank that was removed, and there was monitoring, but they have a clearance letter that'll be submitted to anybody that does take out RFP.
Okay.
How much did the city spend to acquire this property, do you know?
I'd have to look back. We got it from Lincoln County and back taxes, I do believe. I think we had a water bill. I'll get that information.
Well, and not that we
Yep.
need it now, but if there is a proposal and we have to decide what
Yep.
we're gonna do for this property and the property, that'd be helpful, useful
Right,
information.
yep. The previous property that we talked about, that was a blighted grant that we had for removal of all the all the buildings on that one. And I want to say this bid was somewhere around 12,000, wasn't it, to remove this house?
Yeah.
Somewhere in that
Originally
neighborhood.
it was 21, and you got one for 12.
And this was I guess I would consider it a blighted property,
We have
the
orders on it.
the condition that it was in.
Yeah, it was a rental at one time, or I remember years ago, wasn't it, like a rental, just a rental house, I think.
Yeah. It'd be nice to get back on the tax roll and something productive.
The timeline on this one is?
Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah. And I guess with that being said, we can talk about date and time of next meeting, but if this is due in May, and I know we have elections the day before that we're scheduled to be in here next month, if we can not have a meeting in April and have one, the next one in May, but it's for later down on the agenda.
You just want a motion, then put it out.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Excuse me. I have a motion and a second to put out the RFP for 703 South Center Avenue. Any discussion?
And the same as the last one, I'll be
Yep.
voting nay. I agree with putting it out.
If I hear no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries.
Do you have a number?
What did you, let me just look at 2022.
Mark, she has a number for the purchaser from Lincoln County.
Sorry, I have to go back a year. It's going to take just a second. The delinquent water was $400. The removal was $20,000. Just everyone taking that really quick for this thinking.
You lost it.
I don't need it right now. I mean, when
Yep.
we make the decisions, I just like to have all the information when we make
Correct.
decisions for how much to give people.
All right, we'll move on to update regarding ongoing development projects.
Okay, I was hoping to have something for you on the Walmart property. Late yesterday, I was having a conversation, but they don't want to release anything at this time. There is a housing start on 10th Street. They did dig the basement there. There's going to be 2 more, I do believe, on the Nicholas subdivision. They took out permits on those, and I guess that's all I have for updates on the RDA projects. Any questions on what we have going or what you're hearing around town that might be able to be confirmed or denied?
Any movement on the property out by by Walmart, the property that we have?
Nothing that we can really speak to yet.
What is is there a timeline on that where they have up until?
They have till, I think, the beginning of May. Their 6 months is up, and that's, yeah, hopefully they'll have something by then.
Okay.
I was hoping to have something for you today, but
And then one other question. With the reassessment, how is that going to, the Ward Paper project with all the houses that are going to be, how many houses are planning down the road to go in
I
there?
think there's 21 that are going in there.
Okay, and I know when we had voted on it, we were given numbers on the tax increment. What is the expected tax increment that we're getting off of each house approximately?
Well, if you look at a $400,000 house at, say, $20 per thousand, you're looking at, what, $8,000 for each house that goes in there, and that's all increment.
Right. Well, I mean, there must be some tax on the land, but it's got to be, that was there before, but it's
Yeah,
fairly
very
insignificant.
minimal.
Right.
I think the tax on the whole parcel was $500-600. It was,
I don't remember what we were expecting to get. What was the increment before the reevaluation? It wasn't 19, it was
32.
32. So, I mean,
But we didn't have it at full value. I think I'd have to look back. It was like 26 or something per
Okay.
thousand that we estimated at. A little more conservative, but even at the 8,000 in 1 year, I mean, you're paying back if we're given a $10,000 incentive per home, it's, little over a year, and you have that paid for.
and then our expected total cost on project is like 800,000 or something like that?
Well, our bids came back in at 340, and we were expecting 500, so that first phase without the paving is well under. But if you look at, we'll probably have $600,000 into that by the time we if you want to say, have our portion finished up.
So it would be total 600?
Correct.
Well, plus, like, there was
Correct.
like grubbing, like the 30 grand grubbing, like way back and whatnot.
Right, but if you look at, that's including that, if you look at, even if 20 houses at $8,000 a year, you're at $160,000 a year. It doesn't take too long to pay that back.
Right.
I know it's going to take a while to get the 21 houses in there, but it's an
Yeah.
investment.
No, I know. I was just, I
Yep.
just wanted to know
Yep.
where we're sort of at on that with the new numbers, so, thank you.
Yep.
Any further discussion?
Do you
Hearing none,
have
we'll-
any inkling as to what's going on State Street on the south end or is that, I'm assuming that's totally unrelated city business
Yeah.
development, or?
Lincoln Wood is expanding. I think it's a $4 or $5 million project up on Taylor Street. They're doing a bunch of earthwork, and there was a hole down on State Street. They're filling that in, but now they're going to stockpile more material there. So when they take the plant off by Cape Goodrich. They'll have material to fill that up with, and not, well, they're moving it twice anyway, but I think that's the thought process there. They're trying to get everything ready up on Taylor Street for their new building. Remember the number on that, Darren, as far as estimated value? Is it?
$7.5 million.
Okay.
It's good to know. Okay, I thought they were just piles of snow until the snow melted, and I went, no, those aren't piles of snows.
Okay, we'll move on to update from Lincoln County Economic Development Director Sarah Gould.
So, got a couple of handouts that I'll start here with Clyde, and so thank you for putting me on the agenda today. One of the things that I was asked when I started in this role back in July was to make sure that the EDC is giving regular updates to our primary partners, our primary funders at this point. And so this is part of my effort to make sure that you do stay informed. And while obviously we have a couple of members of our board on here who can chime in if I miss anything important, wanted to kind of fill you in on what has been going on at the EDC over the last 6+ months and what is on the horizon. So one of the documents that you just received is a copy of the EDC's new 2025-26 strategic plan. And this was developed by the board. It is, as far as I am aware, the first time that the EDC has had any form of a written strategic plan. And it's going to be used to help guide the actions, the decisions that we are making, and help me to know where to invest our energies to make sure that we are focused on what we are doing for the community. And we have an updated mission and vision statement on this document that we wanted to make sure really aligns with what the organization is doing these days. And then it also has 4 primary goals. And I kind of summarize the goals like this. Goal 1, business development, of course. Goal 2, workforce development. Goal 3 is what I'm doing today, outreach and advocacy, making sure that we're speaking up for policies and activities that support economic development environments. And then the last one is a goal to make the EDC financially sustainable. And so by diversifying our sources so that we're not completely taxpayer reliant moving forward, trying to bring in some investors and sponsors and grants and things like that. So some of the things that we've already started doing to try and make the strategic plan kind of come to life. So for that first goal, business development, well, first off, hopefully all or most of you that are on the council at least should have received an email yesterday announcing that we're doing a new email communications. And actually, I should probably get you on that, LaDonna.
I think I got it.
Okay, did you? Good. And the goal is to just have kind of a passive way to support dispersing information about what not just we but our partners are doing to support businesses. So when the chamber puts out an event or the SBDC or there's grants that are released that could support small businesses, my plan is to forward that information to whomever is on our email list. And so if you know anybody that might benefit from that, I did update our website as well. You can now sign up for the email list on our webpage. And so we encourage you to do that. And I will be continuing to do additional updates to our website to try and make it have more resources for businesses. So within the next few months, you should see some additional help on there. And then we are also working on doing more business retention and expansion visits, trying to meet with the businesses in the community. And so I am actively looking for businesses who would like to get together and talk about what they have going on. And if there are things that we can do to develop a technical assistance system. So we want to get much more active with assisting our businesses through some of those challenges. So if they're having problems, I've had conversations in the last month with questions about zoning, questions about financing. I've had somebody reach out just asking for ideas about where they could possibly find a location for a possible business. Things like that, whether they're an established business or somebody who's just hoping to start one up. We want to become a key support for that in this area. And so we're working with all of our partners, the chambers, SBDC, others, and I'm trying to build up that support system, because I think that's really, really crucial. And I had heard repeatedly, and our board through this plan directed that to be something that we focus on at the EDC moving forward. So as you're out talking and hearing about the things that are going on, if they're looking for someone who can just kind of help research and they don't have capacity to do it, or if Rod is having a really busy week and needs somebody to just take a look at something, that's what I'm going to try and be for the county and for its businesses and its economic development leaders. So that's some of the things we're doing on the business development side. Workforce development tends to be a little bit more of continuation of what we've done. We still are running the broadband commission for the county. Have had some really good progress with that in the last month, thanks in large part to the federal broadband equity access and deployment grant. We hopefully have a provider identified who is going to work with our county to get broadband service to all of the unserved and underserved addresses that remain within the next 5 years, potentially faster than that, depending, of course, on how things roll out with funding and all of those things. But because of that, we are now starting to look forward to what else can we do to help with not just get the broadband here, but help people with understanding how to utilize it and how to access it. And so those are conversations that the commission will be having moving forward. And Clyde is a member of our broadband action team and does a great job of representing the business perspective on that issue. So we also do still have conversations happening with the childcare issue, which is something that is still impacting workforce, and I was also directed to continue to support housing development as our communities are looking to bring those in. So if there's things that I can do to assist the city, to assist Tomahawk, others with looking into housing issues, I'm here to do that. I'm actually working with Centergy, which is the regional economic development entity, Lincoln County and South, and Regional Planning Commission to do a housing needs assessment right now and for the entire region, with the hope that we could possibly get some additional resources through Centergy's connections. So I will keep you informed on exactly what that looks like a few months from now. But there is some things happening there to try and give you some more tools in whatever capacity is deemed most impactful from that angle. And then outreach is going to continue to be me trying to have that presence. If I'm not here in person, I am watching either online or the next day all of the city council meetings, all of the RDA meetings, all of the marketing meetings for this city, and other ones as there seems to be appropriate topics, trying to just stay informed. And I also will be going and doing some advocacy through the Wisconsin Economic Development Association as well as Centergy in the next month down in Madison, trying to advocate on behalf of Lincoln County for economic development. I believe that the chamber will also have representatives at the Centergy one for sure. And I know Tomahawk's chamber is also trying to send so that we've got a good representation for us and for our voice down in Madison with our elected officials. And then finally, the final goal of becoming more diverse and more secure in our finances. We can't do any of this if we don't have sustainable funding. And instead of continuing to rely on just asking the county, asking the cities, occasionally getting Merrill area development support, the board was very focused, even before I got here, on making a change to this. So we are pursuing 501c3 charitable nonprofit status. We believe that will make it give us more options for securing additional contributions, but it also is just a better representation of how our organization works. We are not a membership-based organization, and the board does not desire to be so. No one has to pay money to us in order to access our services, and that's how we want to stay. Now, that means we won't be doing everything for everyone. We are not planning on getting into the marketing. We've got the city and the chambers doing a great job of that already. There are certain services that we won't offer, but we can do things that others don't have capacity, such as the technical assistance I mentioned earlier, and that will be accessible to anybody who reaches out and asks for it. And that's where we hit the charitable part of being a C3, is we are going to maintain that more public benefit perspective, which really is how this organization has run. It's never had members. It's never done political lobbying. It's never done those things that you might be able to do a little bit under a C6 or C4 status, which are the other nonprofits. And so that's one big project that we are in the process of completing right now. I also will, in the next couple of weeks, you'll be seeing more information about how to become an investor, because we do need additional supports. And so we're going to ask our businesses and our community organizations to consider contributing to us for some additional benefits to themselves. And so that is going to look more like a membership, but it doesn't have that same, there isn't the voting rights or anything. It is just supporting what this organization is doing for the community at the level that you can support us to continue doing it. So those are some of the big ones. And I've been monitoring for a number of grants, just submitted 2 USDA grants for rural business development last week, and have also either directly or assisted with 3 to 4 other grants since I've been here, either for our organization or just to help some of our partners, such as there was a trails maintenance grant that I was able to get on the city's radar, and some things like that. So that's the semi-short version of what we're doing as far as the strategic plan and how that's guiding what we're moving forward with. The other thing that I certainly want to make sure I mention is the second handout that you have, which is literally hot off the presses yesterday. We have our Economic Summit coming back. Last year, this was held in Merrill. My predecessor, Elsa, had this at the Merrill Expo Center. It was a 2-day event last year. We've made a lot of adjustments to how it was set up this year, and so it is going to be a single day up in Tomahawk to make sure that the full county is benefiting from this activity. And we are also setting it up so that while we certainly hope that everyone comes for the full day and enjoys the economic empowerment that we are aiming to bring you, if that doesn't work for busy schedules, attendees can choose to either attend for the morning half, which is focused on economic updates, where our local governments and our chambers and Tomahawk Main Street will be giving a quick update of what they've been working on. And then we'll also have a presentation from the chief economist from the Department of Revenue, John Koskinen, talking about the state of the economy, followed by our keynote, Mike Ward, who is the VP of Business and Community Development for Wisconsin Economic Development Corp. And so just kind of information about what's happening in our economies and how we can empower rural communities to be more successful with the tools that you have. So that is for the morning, and then we're going to have a lunch with local food trucks to support those small businesses. And then in the afternoon, we're going to pivot to economic education for those that are looking to get information and have some real solid takeaways for their business. We've set up 3 different tracks. So we're going to have a track for managing your business, one for financing your business, and one for marketing your business. And I believe Mark is going to be joining us for the marketing components of this, which I'm very excited about. Thank you. And we've got a number of other, quite a few people who are involved in making these sessions happen, because we have 9 sessions going in 3 hours. It's ambitious. But I'm doing that for a couple of reasons. First, because we want to make sure that people can get the information that they're interested in. Also, to try and get a sense of what are people interested in. These are all going to be more at that introductory level. but I'm hoping that it will, based on both what has the highest attendance and what kind of feedback we get afterwards, it will help the EDC and its partners know what kind of programming is most interesting and most useful for our community in the future. So it's not just about what we get that day, it's also about how it sets us up for knowing how to serve the county moving forward. And so there's a lot of really good potential. And then we're going to close out that day with a final presentation about supporting entrepreneurs and how they empower our economies. And that's where we will have the UW Extension talking about our Rural Entrepreneurial Venture Network and the REV program here in Merrill, but then expanding upon that to say, and just in general, here's how entrepreneurs support our rural communities and how you, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, can and should take steps to support those startup businesses and those small businesses usually, at least when they start, right? So that is what we have coming up. I certainly hope that we see many of you at this event because I think it's going to be a really, really neat opportunity. And we are still looking for sponsors as well. So if you know of any businesses or community organizations that you think would be interested in having a presence at the event and in helping to support it and make sure that we can continue to hold this financially every year, please let me know. There's information on the website, or I'd be happy to have a conversation. So, and with that, I would, I guess, ask Mayor and Rod, is there anything else that you would like me to cover today?
Does anybody have any questions for Sarah? She hit the ground running when she was hired, and I think she's doing an awesome job. Everybody, well, I don't know, maybe you can touch on the expansion of the board.
Oh, yes. One of the other things that we've done, in part because of trying to queue up for that 501c3 nonprofit application, and in part just because it made sense, is we updated all of our bylaws, and a key part of that was expanding our board from 9 members out to 13 members. And of that, previously, the 9 members that have always been on the EDC have been there due to an affiliation with another entity. They were either appointed there from one of the cities, the county, or Merrill Area Development, Tomahawk Community Development. They were on there because they were on something else. And that meant that if you had somebody who also worked at a business, it was usually more just lucky than it was necessarily strategic. And while we did have some great, people who were that way, they wanted to make sure that moving forward, it had more business representation. So we now only require the mayors or their designees, and then the county board chair and 1 county board rep. So 4 people of the 13-member board are now appointed. All the rest can be whomever we feel best represents the economic needs of the community. And we just brought on 5 new people because one of our 9 stepped back for personal reasons, and all 5 of them are strong business representatives from the community who I think are going to be great additions with the team that we already had in place, because we really did have a good board. We just needed a few more. And then we also reactivated our ex officios on the board, which means that we are now making sure that both chambers and the Main Street directors are invited to every board meeting, so that we have that consistency between the organizations, and that we're all working together and aware of what each other is doing and collaborating on activities. So last meeting we had Clyde there, as well as the directors, both of the directors from the Tomahawk facilities, which was great. It was a full room though. There's a lot of people there, but it was a good conversation. So, any other questions or items to bring up?
Sarah, was it you that applied for some type of grant that was like a year's worth of consulting?
The technical assistance, yes. Recreational Economy for Rural Communities grant through the EPA. We put that application in back in October. They still have not made any announcement. I've gone on there. Recently, I've been going on every few weeks and just been like, did they do anything yet? I would assume with the interesting things happening in federal government at the moment, that's probably on pause for announcing any new kind of commitments. Even though that is technically not a funding grant, it is a free technical assistance grant. I'm not super surprised that we haven't heard anything yet. It is highly competitive as well, but we're still in the realm of possibility of getting that. If we do get that, then that means that we would be getting technical assistance from federal government as well as some state government agencies to help us with doing some planning related to what I wrote it for was related to enhancing the downtown trails in both Merrill and Tomahawk so that there's more visibility, and also identifying a plan to try and connect the downtown trails between basically Merrill downtown up to Tomahawk downtown with some kind of a biking, hiking trail system, which is nothing that I came up with, obviously. You know, people around here have been talking about trying to do that for years. I just put it into the grant and asked them to help us make it happen. And so they would help us with not only designing, but also finding funding sources that could support whatever our final plan would be. Thank you for remembering that. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much for the time, and always feel free to reach out if anything comes up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to date and time of next meeting, be in May. We'll leave a call to chair in May.
I mean, District 2 and 7 are in here for the first. We could have it the second, but I can't guarantee the chairs would be set up. It would just be a different configuration. So if you need one, the room is available.
Would-
May 7th,
Yeah, just,
it's first Wednesday.
is that enough time for the RFP? Because that's due May 7th.
That's
so-
due April 30th.
Oh, April 3rd, yeah. Okay, we'll do May 7th, just
April 7th?
May.
Oh, May 7th.
We'll skip the April. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.